near-death experience.
Awesome. Well, good to see you. Good to see you, Rex, again.
See you, my friend.
Yeah, I'm happy to connect with you. And it was as we talked earlier on this movies that we like. And I don't normally use the backgrounds, but I had like a white wall. And and the first thing that actually came to mind was something of the city that doesn't really exist, but it exists in some images and cartoonish, that's why we love cartoons. And Zootopia was one of my favorite animations that I've seen. It has everything, the snails and the turtles, and it's like I see the world as a zoo, and I feel like I will live that life myself. Yeah.
I like that analogy. I can see that. Sure. I don't know what kind of music you listen to, but back in the 80s, there was a German rock band called the Scorpions that did a song called The Zoo. I think it's kind of similar, similar meaning. It just kind of made me think of that as you're describing it. It's like, huh. I mean, I'm a DJ. I've been doing music my whole life, musician, producer, and all that. So music's certainly in my blood. So I'm one of these crazy. Some of my friends will say that I'm kind of like a walking encyclopedia of music. I'll just pull music out of who knows where, because just something like this will make me think of it. My brain definitely thinks in music. If there's one thing it does better than it did before, is definitely when it comes to music. Anything that's visionary, anything that I can see in my mind, that I can picture. And whereas a lot of other things, more like linear, like remembering an address or something, or remembering directions to something, or remembering a process on a computer, I have a very difficult time with that, because I just don't remember. I just don't remember very well. That's just, for some reason, those memories don't stick as well as they used to.
And do you find yourself that the music from the past triggers certain memories that kind of bring you even the scent of the time and the place? Do you find yourself connecting to different timelines through music? Like, for example, I somehow I even have this access to the memory of the music that my parents were mating to this music. And actually asked I played some of the songs with my mom in the car, and she's like, oh, we were we were having fun. And I was like, I don't know, this is subconscious.
No, that's really powerful information. I mean, knowledge and memories, and I would say yes. I mean, it just depends. I mean, music is so many things depending, and again, it applies to so many parts of my life, and me as a person, as and a soul. But there are times, and depends on the music that I'm listening to, that could definitely take me back to a certain time and a certain place, certain memory. And sometimes even things that I've forgotten about, important things that I've forgotten about, that kind of brings me back to that spot. And when that happens, it kind of that message that, hey, it's something I need to take a look at, and think about and work through, perhaps. And if it needs healing, if something needs healing, heal it. If there's something needs understanding, just understand it, or whatever's best in that moment. So yeah, there are times. It just it depends on, I guess, where I'm at, and I guess the kind of music that I'm listening to in the moment.
And how did you evolve yourself through music? You said you've been DJ, and how I guess the question will be how you were coming to the brighter side, like what actually was music part of your transformation to get to where you are now, like awareness. And obviously you had an NDE, and that's how we know each other, is through the NDE
Right.
group. And it's like, it's one of those experiences that changes your life forever. So kind of take me through that transformation, if you could.
Well, yeah, I mean, music has always been a huge part of my life. I mean, prior to the NDE, I worked in the music business. I was a nightclub and concert promoter. I was also a talent buyer. I was a booking agent, publicist, band manager. I did a lot of artist development. So I worked with live music my whole life. In addition to that, I've been a DJ, dance club, nightclub event DJ, since I was about 16. So that's pretty much almost my whole life. I could get behind some decks and mix the heck out of some music and make people dance, and I can do a lot of different styles of music. I have certain things that I like the best, but I feel like I feel confident I can walk into most rooms with most crowds and find what they're into. Because I've got a very diverse library from all over the world, and I'm confident I can get them dancing. So that's been a big part of my life, and one of the best things in the whole world to me. I mean, there's one of the best connections, one of the most beautiful things, you know, and people may not think of this in terms of spiritual terms, but I do as a DJ, when I really just rock the house and really just rock the dance floor. Everybody's having fun. Everyone's dancing. The dance floor's packed. People are smiling and singing along to the words and just hugging each other. I mean, that's beautiful. I mean, that's a really one of the most amazing and powerful feelings I've ever had in my life, and I appreciate that a lot. Now, having said that, post NDE, yes, I do still DJ a bit. It's not maybe as big of a part of my life as it used to be, but I do still DJ. But among the things that have changed, that have emerged since the near-death experience, and it's interesting because I've had this conversation with a lot of my musician friends, because I've got, again, having been in the business, I've got a lot of long time friendships, from that business, and just people have just been surprised, like, how have you been around the music all these years, and then something like this doesn't come out? So my speculation, because I'm trying to just be open to possibilities here, because some people are just so quick to go, no, it's the near-death experience, it's this division, this and that, and I am quick to go there because I experienced it. That's how I feel. But I understand that that there's not everybody wants to make that leap. But I will say it like this, and it's very, very serendipitous how this all happened. In 2014, very unexpectedly, I joined a band called Quantum Beings of the Miraculous, and that's what started this whole path for me. Very, very, again, very unexpectedly. All I was doing was showing up to one of my musician friends' houses with my DJ gear, and he was just having a bunch of his musician friends come over. They were forming a new project at the time, and I was and I've done this lots of times. Just mix when they're taking a break. I'll mix some music. Just have some music going while everybody's taking a break. So there's that way there's no dead air, so to speak. And all I know is there was a couple of times I'm kind of mixing and doing my thing, and I'm also kind of, because I'm post NDE and I've decided I'm going to reinvent everything in my life, myself personally, and everything in my life, including how I DJ. So I was trying out some different things, DJing and layering and kind of mashing up some things, as we say in DJ kind of terms, I guess, and trying to create some kind of different tracks, something new and different. And all of a sudden, I've got the singer starts singing, the drummer jumps on the drums and starts drumming, the keyboard player is playing keys, got our ditch player blowing the ditch, and we've got our bass player playing this. I mean, all of a sudden I'm playing with all this whole band, and they've got a gig coming up, and I'm only now I'm only just a part of like a couple of songs, still just a DJ. I'm not doing any instruments, anything else. I'm just a guy that's pushing some buttons at this point. But hey, I'm in a band. I don't even care, because like, whoa, I get to play with a band. That's cool. But I literally show up one day as we're talking about the very first gig ever. Like, no, Rex, we want you. I'm thinking I'm just going to like just be up there for a couple of songs and go sit down. I'm just going to be like a guest on stage, go up and go sit down. And like, no. You can be up there the whole time. Just stay up there the whole time. It's cool. And it hit me right there. It's like, I think I'm in a band right now. Wow, I think I'm really, and it morphed from there, where I became, I was like a member, like a regular member of the band, as I'm a part of a number of the songs, and my DJing skills and my production skills and my mixing and things that I do has gone to a whole new level because of this. And now, to take it a step further, about 4 years ago in 2018. Again, very unexpectedly, a friend of mine, a producer who goes by Missing Links, his name's Alex. He was just doing these classes on a digital audio workspace. It's basically a DAW or DAW called Ableton. And Ableton, kind of like Pro Tools. And
I know Ableton. Ableton, my favorite DJ, which is ATB. He's a German.
Good one. Yeah, love it. Seriously.
Yeah, so I visited all his concerts. I'll interrupt you real quick. So I visited all his concerts.
Nice.
I mean, the ones that were happening in Pacific Northwest when I lived in Portland. And that's when I learned about Ableton, is like some of the top DJs. I love Tiesto, Armin van Buuren. Actually took some photos with some of these DJs, and
neat.
And it's amazing. It's amazing the tools they use. It's so advanced, and yeah,
it is. It's incredible, and it's just, again, because I'm so technically challenged, it's kind of been nothing short of a miracle that I was even able to learn the software at all, because it's so incredibly expansive. I mean, the beautiful thing is, in fact, Armin van Buuren is one of my favorite producers, and I've listened to him talk about.
Really? Oh my
I've never
God!
met him or anything, but just videos, just listen. But I got lots of his music in my library.
Really, Armin.
But the cool thing is, one of the things that he said that sticks with me is, and I'm totally paraphrasing, of course, but he talks about how, especially on something like Ableton or any of these DAWs, that you can literally do things so many different ways. There's no one right way or one wrong way to do something. If you're getting the sound that you want and it's coming out the way that you want, then you're doing it the right way. You know, he said, and I love that because I'm very self-taught and kind of found my way through this pretty much on my own and just, you know, checking videos once in a while. But it's kind of cool to hear from somebody like that. Plus, I've seen him play here in Denver. And he's one of my favorites. He seems like a cool guy too. Right on, man. That's awesome. He seems like one of those guys you just want to just hang out with and talk to.
Yeah, that's when he started. It was amazing.
Right on.
Love him.
But yeah, so I mean, and all those, and he's definitely one of those people that when I do look out the producers, there's a number of different producers out there, but he's definitely one of DJ producers. But I mean, at this point, he's a DJ, but he's also a full-on producer. I mean, he writes, mixes, masters. I mean, he's a totally incredible that way. As is like ATB and all those kinds of artists, they're all really amazing. Tiesto, I mean, yeah, all those guys. But so I do, I guess, my own iteration of that, you know. So my style of music, I'm not doing quite the, you know, trancey kind of housey stuff necessarily, but I do have tracks that are like that. I got one track that is a full-on, I guess you'd call it, sort of I guess, like classical trance. I've got these pieces that I like to make that have these classical qualities to them, and then I put beats behind them, bass lines and other electronics with them. So I do have one trance track that I made. It's kind of psytrance sounding. That's good. That's got these kind of instrumentations to it. That's kind of cool. But yeah, but that's just open up a whole world, and it's wonderful that even somebody like me, and part of it is I'd like to think that I have some vision for this. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to pull this off. But it's okay. Literally, let me just kind of back this up. Yeah, 2018. My friend Alex goes and has these classes, just a couple classes. And he offers it to me, you know, just free. He just wants to just teach and just collecting a bunch of friends to just get together and we're going to teach you the basics of Ableton. I mean, how much can you really learn on something like Ableton in a couple of classes? Then we hung out a couple more times. So I'm probably about a half a dozen times I got to hang out with him. So that was between like October and November of 2018. And all I know is over the last weekend of November is Thanksgiving weekend here. But what we call, but here in the US, of course, as you know, but that weekend, I literally accidentally wrote an entire piece of music.
Wow.
I wasn't planning to write anything. When I first got into Ableton, I was barely learning thousands upon thousands of sounds in this thing, not to mention all the different like productions, mixing and mastering things you can do to try to make the track sound good. I mean, it was so overwhelming, and somehow, some way, out of the blue, all I was trying to do is create like a binaural tone. Are you familiar with binaural beats or binaural tones?
Yes.
And I use them a lot when I meditate, or when I'm like working on something, when I'm writing, or when I'm trying to sleep. And that's all I was trying to do, is just create one tone. And I thought, okay, if I can just find a note that I like and just kind of find a couple of instruments that might kind of sound cool together, maybe you can just kind of make this tone, and I can take it to my bandmates and we can build something off of it, maybe, or something like that. You know, that's all I wanted to do, was make just one, like a binaural tone. That's all I was making. And I won't go through the entire process, but all I can say is I make this tone. It sounds kind of neat. And all of a sudden I'm hearing like a thunderstorm in my head. And I've got all these samples in my computer, all these sound effect samples. As a DJ, I've always collected those over the years. I found a thunderstorm clip that sounded really cool and layered it into the binaural tone. I'm like, ooh, that sounds kind of nice. It's okay. Then I hear a beat, a little soft, just slow, easy, just a little simple beat in my head. I'm going, yeah, why not? Why don't I give it a shot? I bet it sounds kind of good. So I put this little beat on there. I'm like, oh, nice. Anyways, I won't go through every single instrument, but about 4, maybe 5 instruments later, I've turned this thing into basically kind of like a electro-symphonic, like soundscape piece of music.
Wow.
So from that Thursday to that Sunday night, I did it totally by accident. I'm just sitting on the computer, just, oh, what would this sound like? Okay, that's cool. Now let's try this. What would that sound like? Oh, that's cool. And then because I've been writing music with Quantum Beings for a number of years, I know how to structure a track, structure a piece. So I'm like, okay, let's make it all flow right, so it sounds good together. So I'm going to listen to it all the way through. It can actually really work. And all of a sudden I realize as I'm doing this, I'm like, I just wrote an entire piece of music. Oh my goodness.
On a new software.
I had no idea. I was not planning on it. That takes years. People go to school for that stuff, to write the piece of music. Then, of course, I became obsessed with making it sound good. So then I had to learn how to mix and master, which I've been teaching myself. You know, I've got video help with some of my friends that give me pointers and stuff, but I've also created my own sound as a result of this. I have some of my wonderful, beautiful musician friends who have been so supportive of this. And I've got this one girl that I've done some work with. She does some vocals on one of my tracks, and she's younger, so she's into like the new music, new sounds, and so it's real high praise coming from this particular person because she knows the new stuff, knows this stuff. And she said, Rex, you know what? Even if I heard one of your tracks that I'd never heard before, I would know that it's you because you have a very particular sound with both your music and your production. I would know your sound anywhere. And I'm like, wow, thank you. That's really cool.
That's
She
honoring.
thinks enough of it to sing on a track, and who knows, we'll probably do some more down the road. But it's just really cool. But it's okay. I've got other musical projects, including Quantum Beings. So we're playing together again. That's my full 6-piece band. I don't write the music for that band, but I still have my part that I do in the band, which is great because there's nothing more beautiful than to sit and play with people, connect with people, and we're all synergizing and synchronizing and doing this all through music. It's one of the most beautiful things. And when you have the right group of people to do that with, I mean, it's magic, and you become family. And we really have. I mean, I love these people. Never mind that they really are my band family. But if it wasn't for them, I would not be doing music and doing what I'm doing right now. I would have no idea. It wouldn't even occur to me to try this. It really didn't. If serendipity, the universe, spirit, if you will, had not intervened and said, okay, you're going to be an artist, you're going to be a musician, you're going to be a composer and producer. And now I'm writing like tracks that are actually genuinely dynamic and complex. I write dance tracks. I'm a DJ. I got to have my beats, got to have my bass, got to have those tracks. A lot of my stuff's more down tempo, mid tempo stuff. I got some up tempo, but I like my thick down tempo kind of hip hop style beats. I love that kind of stuff. But even in my electro symphonic pieces where I've got like cellos and strings and clarinets and piano and stuff like that going on, I've still got a nice thick bass line and a nice beat and things like that along with it. So I'm creating something that's a little bit different that I think can be done with a symphony orchestra, but with some more electronic elements that are actually infused and already a part of the music. In other words, the music was written like this originally. It wasn't something that was done where after the fact they just the orchestra wanted to work with a rock artist, or the rock artist or electronic artist wanted to work with the orchestra kind of thing, which has been done a lot over the years. Outside of artists like, say, Hans Zimmer, one of my all-time favorite composers and producers.
Yes, I love
Hans Zimmer. And
my favorite is Hans Zimmer and Ennio Morricone.
Those there you go. Ennio Morricone too, wonderful. But Hans Zimmer is one of those that is maybe the closest, to what I'm doing in this electro symphonic capacity, because he does write very symphonic-ish electronic music. Yes. And he's not afraid to infuse traditional instruments with classical instruments, if nothing else, doing it in a form of a remix or something. Yeah. But this music that I'm doing, I think, is like that, except it's literally just being written, designed specifically to work with a symphony orchestra, but with all of these other electronic elements already infused as part of the music. And as a producer now, having done this now for almost 4 years, I know how to do this. When this chance arrives, and I hope and pray that it does, I know how to do this. And this music is ready for a symphony orchestra.
Rex, I actually work with a symphony orchestra. I'm connected with the director of Lithuanian Symphony Orchestra. I'm right now in the house. I mean, not in Zootopia background, but I'm physically in the house of the director of. And I will inquire to see what they're working on and what they're interested in. It'll be very interesting to see.
Well, I'll promise you, he's never heard anything like this, and I would appreciate if you would give it a chance, keep an open mind, and give this a chance. My friends are really blown away by this. I literally have friends that have known me for like 20 years, musician friends, going, Rex, where the heck is this coming from? How are you doing this? Like, you're not even 4 years into this, or even a couple of years into this. I'm writing these tracks. Rex, how are you? I don't know what key anything's in, okay? I don't know music theory. I know how to structure tracks because I've been writing music with my band, Quantum Beings. But I don't even know what key anything's in. I envision the music in my head. I literally, and I say it like this, I envision the music, and I can envision the sound in my head, just like I can hear it, but I also see it. And because of that, I could take this vision, translate it through Ableton, and create this piece of music, and then give it some time to work with it, mix it and master it so it can come out sounding good, the way it's supposed to, in accordance to the type of music it is, or the type of track that it is.
Wow. I want to add.
Some of my tracks are like, I got like 12, 13 minute long, like 10-minute plus tracks that are very symphonic. They move around, they have different parts, the whole thing, and beats and bass lines. It's cool.
There are people who, there is a research on binaural beats and how it actually affects meditative state and allows people to channel music, and not just music, to channel movies, but you're in the musical industry, and when you said binaural beats, I immediately envisioned zeros and ones, because binaural beats is
Yes,
if you convert it into the code, it actually goes 0 1 0
that's
1.
what it's designed for. Yes, exactly. I hear
Yes.
you.
Yeah, so and by doing binaural beats, you're actually going to the essence of the sound, and you channel that and create, which is amazing.
It is. I am channeling. That's all I can describe it as. I'm just tapping into this. It's that deeper part of me. I'm just something that's really flowing with it. And it's interesting you say that, because my very first piece of music that I described, the entire piece of music is built on that one single tone.
Ah,
It's a 6 minute. It's like 6 minutes, and I forget. It's like 6 minutes and 12 seconds. It's a lot. It's a little bit longer. It's got very symphonic qualities to it. A couple of different changes in it, but it's all you can listen when you listen to it. I'm happy to send it to you.
yeah.
It's all predicated on a single tone. The
Wow.
entire piece of music is it is amazing. What you can do with just one note, one tone, and I built a whole piece of music off of this.
Wow. That's amazing. That's
Like I said, I'm happy to share it with you. I mean, even in you'll just like, that's my very first. When you hear it, you're like, that seriously. You go like, that's his first piece of music. My first ever piece of music came out like that. People listen to it like, no way, that's your first. That's telling you that's what came out of my brain the first time I did this without even meaning to.
Mhm.
And I did. I cried. I'm not kidding. I mean, I know we're men here, but I won't lie. I mean, I cried as soon as I realized I wrote this piece of music. I just bawled my eyes out like a like a little kid, and just realized that I couldn't believe that I wrote this music, that it came out of me, and I'm about to write a lot of music, because also I could hear it in my head. I'm like, oh my goodness, there's so much music in my head right now, and I've gotten. And it's time, just so you know, just real quick, I have over 40 pieces of music. Some of those are dance tracks. But a lot of those are these longer electro-symphonic soundscapes that I've been making, and I have over 40 of them now,
Mm-hmm.
and lots more already, like lots more snippets of stuff ready to go.
What happens is, if I go back to the tribal ancestral knowledge, those people who were creating the beats, the tracks, the music, they were connected to the creator, so to the higher consciousness. And so when you connect to the higher consciousness like this, and you bring the beat to the tribe, and then that grows and expands, you're actually transmitting the healing energy into the universe, because it's like giving birth to a baby, but it's a spiritual baby that you're giving birth, and in that state you're staying in a very high vibrational state.
I feel the life essence of it. I'm actually very protective of all my music. It's like, nope, it all has a special little place in the world. It's all going to come out when it's ready. You know what I mean? So I feel you with that. It's really like that. And considering that, I can make the argument, if you will, that it came from a near-death experience. I didn't do this before.
Yes.
So my question's always been, I spent all these years in the music business. I spent all these years as a DJ. Okay, it's not like I didn't have opportunities to mess around and be in bands. I didn't have I had instruments around me all the time. I mean, and if I wanted to take lessons or what, I mean, I had it all. I could have done this. How did it not come out until after a near-death experience? And all I can say is, obviously, it has something to do with this near-death experience. It had something to do with what I touched and what happened when I was, in terms of the experience itself, that woke me up. That is, in my case, I didn't just go somewhere and come back. I went somewhere and I'm still there. I might be still living here and experiencing with in my human form here, but that those proverbial lights, if you will, they're still on full bore. And all these visions I have, I don't know if you ever saw that video in Gravity that I sent you a while back, but that's where that comes from.
Yes.
I have understandings of the nature of existence itself, and I'm sorry, I'm just the guy that hit his head really hard. And I know these scientists have been doing this stuff their whole lives, and they've got years of schooling behind it, and I don't know, maybe it's kind of weird to have this kind of information come from somebody who's just had a near-death experience and just cracked his head really hard, and all of a sudden, died. I didn't really even die in the classic sense. I know that NDEers died because I just crashed a bunch of times. So it's like maybe like little micro deaths where I kind of was crashed and got brought back right away. But the thing, but I mean, I wasn't like dead for an hour. You hear these stories where somebody was like gone for a full hour or 10 minutes even. I don't have that. If you look at my medical records, or when I talked to my doctors, of course, years back now, they talked about how what I would do is go through these multiple crashes. And, and I was in a coma for 5 days. I broke 20 bones. Of course, I had massive bleeding in the brain, massive bleeding inside of my lungs. I had, everything. I had pneumonia the first night. I mean, anything that could have gone wrong did. And apparently, I guess over the first couple of days in particular, they were sending the crash cart to my room a bunch. not like once or twice. Apparently, I crashed a bunch of times. And
Mm,
according to, and this is interesting because it comes from my orthopedic surgeon of all people. He's not obviously in the trauma team,
mhm,
but apparently, something must have happened while he was working on me because I broke 20 bones and he had a lot of work. He and his staff, all his people had a lot of work to do on me. But
mhm.
apparently, he was around for a couple of the crashes, and he described one of them as basically like, Rex, we thought we lost you. We thought there's no way. We thought you were gone. Like literally ready to call it type of thing. Somehow you just come back. So Rex, I saw you do that a couple times where we thought you were gone, and you somehow you just came back.
Wow. What was the event? What actually happened? What happened to you? What led to this?
Well, I
To
guess we've never talked about this part.
Yes, yeah,
But anyway, okay, let's get the fun part out of the way because anyway, I'll just tell you real quick that what I'm going to say because I know what the reaction is going to be. I fell out of a tree. Okay, I know. What was a grown man doing in a tree? Right?
I am the type of guy. I'm the type of guy who climbs the trees. So
Oh,
speak
good. So
away.
you don't have to answer that question to you.
I'm the tree climber.
But I mean, I like
I'm your
climbing.
tree
I mean, I
hugger
live in
and tree
Colorado,
climber.
so here out in Colorado, we have mountains. We've got the Canadian
Uh-huh.
or the Colorado Rockies here. So I mean, I like to back then I did a lot of like rock climbing and stuff like that. But I also love climbing trees all the time. I've also been pretty much training martial arts in my full adult life, and so that's still a
Wow.
part of my life. And climbing was always a form of cross training for me. It's a great way to be real strong without getting all big and bulky. And plus, your
Mhm,
core strength is strong. You're flexible and balanced.
mhm,
All that. It's wonderful.
mhm,
But being in the city, you don't always have access to rocks and mountainsides, because Denver's actually a little bit west of the Front Range. It's not like Denver's not in the mountains. It's kind of,
mhm,
on the or sorry, the eastern edge. Sorry, the eastern edge of the mountains.
mhm,
Um, so trees, but this particular tree I climbed hundreds of times, dozens of times, lots and lots. Beautiful, big, beautiful cottonwood tree. And at the time, I didn't realize this, but we were having a very dry spring. And
mhm,
if you've been through Colorado, you know that if our wet season is usually in the spring. We can get rain in the
mhm,
summer sometimes, but typically we get a lot of the rain and snow in the springtime here. And this particular spring was dry for some reason. It was very dry, and the trees weren't getting much water. And apparently, they get brittle. Apparently,
mhm.
cottonwoods in particular become brittle when they're not getting enough water. And two branches. According to I think it's a police report, says 26 feet. The hospital records say 20 plus feet. So we're talking close to 9 meters. According to the police
Yes,
report.
thank you for saying in meters. It makes more sense.
So it's close to 9 meters, between 8 and 9 meters.
Wow.
I hit concrete head first. That's an awfully long ways to go down and hit concrete, and I hit it head first. So
Wow.
it was a
Wow.
miracle that I survived it all. But yeah, one branch
Wow.
let go, and I reached out to grab a second branch, and it broke too, and I went straight to the ground. Nothing. There was no branches
Mhm,
in the way. And the
mhm.
thing is, it was a bike path. I had grass on either side of the bike path. I had a creek a little ways away from that, but no, I hit the freaking bike path. My whole body just went splat on the bike path.
Wow. 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 What a journey, and being through coma for days and
To me, it
all
was
these
like a
visions.
moment, and I actually have recollections of this. They're kind of interesting recollections. And if you want to hear about like the moment in your death, that's I mean that's something I talk about. When I got a book, as I think out called My Experiment with Gravity, appropriately titled because of the fall.
Wow.
Um, but um, but yeah, essentially, I experience all kinds of beings now. I do believe, of course, in angels and guides, the
Mm-hmm,
spirits, and
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. No,
all whatever names you
mhm.
want to give these, the source, God, goddess, and
Yes.
um, but in my NDE, it wasn't really like that. What I experienced basically, and it was like a moment, but in
Mm-hmm,
that moment was the all of everything.
mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me describe this. Literally, I was experiencing everything from the lightest of the light to the darkest of the dark, and everything in between. Okay, I was experiencing the
Ooh.
expanse of the universe, whatever that may really be, all at
Wow.
once. Okay, I was experiencing all of time, past, present, and future, all
Mm,
at once.
mm,
I was experiencing parallel universes, multiple
mm,
realities,
mm,
potential. We're talking potential realities that might seem similar to us, realities that might be so abstract that we can't even hope to exist in it, let alone try to picture it.
mm,
And with that, imagine just infinite dimensions in a moment, all at once. For a moment, I was the divine. I was the source. I
mm.
was the soul, goddess. I prefer goddess, God, ultimate observer, spirit, whatever terminology you prefer is perfectly fine. We're all
Yeah.
talking about this source level of pure, loving being. And that's the thing that's the most important thing about it. I want to make clear here, because I talk about the experience of the lightest of the light to the darkest of the dark, and all at once. Like, to me, it's all different sides of the same being. Like, we all have our own different natures. We're all dark and light. If there's any truth to the idea, we're created in the image of God, is in our natures, that we're all dual in that regard. So for the experience to happen, there is a dualistic quality taking place in a singular being. But at the core of that, now this is what's important, the core of that is love. Now, this is the cliche part of all near-death experiencers, but it's a truth. This is one reason that I love to listen to near-death experiences, no matter what their story is, because the one thing they'll always talk about is how pure, authentic, sensitive, gentle, yet all-encompassing, all-embodying, infinite and eternal love. That was what it was. That's what it all truly is in its purest form. And that's what we are in our purest form at our core. So I kind of feel like there's one soul, the soul of God, goddess, and we are all these beings, and you know, having these journeys through these lives, and these journeys through our soul journey as well, you know, these past life, future life ideas, all as part of the experience of this divine being in its own discovery of itself. I mean, you know, what a thing to grasp when you're thinking about, you know, you're the one that you know, at the source, but this is what we all are at the source. This is what we all really are. This is not like I'm had some special experience because I'm different from anybody. I'm not. This is what we all really are.
Yes.
I just happened to some reason fall out of a tree, hit my head really hard, and it went there for a second, and I got to bring it back and talk about it.
Wow.
I mean, people can take with it what they want. I'm not here to tell you my word is law. For me, I experienced it, and that experience for me was more real than this conversation is right now. So for me, this is my reality. I'm not believing in this anymore. I know it, but I'm not suggesting that just because I say this, you have to be in agreement with me. You got to find your own way. This is part of me just showing, because I share this more because I wanted to put the ideas out there. So it's just food for thought.
Yes.
Because one thing I say in my book, if some part of my story can help you with some part of your story, then goal accomplished. If something I say when you're listening to me talks, even just this one darn thing, and all of a sudden you get your wheels turning about something you hadn't thought about before, that's somehow helping you with something in your life, then hey, that's what I'm after. You know, let's make a difference in some way.
Yes.
You know, and we can all do that for each other. It's not like just me doing it for somebody else, but it's like I put this out there and I'm interacting with people and sharing with people. People share their stories with me, and it's wonderful because was also so just, I think, touching for me is that these kinds of moments from these kinds of conversations bring out the true real in people. I'm getting the authentic person in front of me. There's no facades, no anything. It's just real us, like we are right now. You and me right now. We're doing it right now. And there's no walls, no pretenses. It's just, you know, authentic us having just a genuine connection, a genuine sharing from our literally from our soul. I have a track that's called Soul Deep. This is what I call a soul deep moment.
It is profound.
Doesn't get any more real or authentic than this, you know, beautiful, pure.
It's pure, and it puts us in a very meditational, I want to say very contemplative state, deeper meditational state where the time stops and you just find.
Great way to put it. Yeah.
Found
it's timeless. You bet. I love that. Sorry. I get excited sometimes, but go ahead. No, what you're saying is beautiful. I mean, I'm right with you.
Well, yeah, I mean, and you know, that's the goal. It's like sometimes the external appearance, you know, people judge us so much by how we look, you know, whether we wear a hoodie or we wear a black or this and that. But, you know, the love that we radiate and the love that we experience from the NDEs, you know, and when we talk about it, when we start radiating it, and, you know, it creates such a massive shift in consciousness around us. Just talking about love, how pure it is, you know, I mean, unconditional love. I'm not talking about this omnipresent love that is out there from source to you, through me, and like this. There is no condition to it. This is what I really live by. And I'm so grateful that you are sharing it, because this is what we're here for. We're here to bring that love. And, you know, sometimes really it takes that experience, it takes that NDE, it takes the ego death, basically the death.
For me, I mean, I've always been a stubborn-minded person, and I can just kind of see the course of my life where it's like spirit had been reaching out to me. I could see there's been signs along the way, and it took something like this to kind of like, okay, come on, get it now, please. So so I say that because one does not have to have a near-death experience to get this.
Yes, yes, yes. It's just how I see it is that
Did you have a near-death experience? You had one,
yes,
right?
yes,
And
yes.
if you don't mind, when you have a moment, I don't think I've heard about yours either. I would love to hear a little bit
Yeah,
about it if that's okay.
yes. Yeah, mine was very, yeah, I will talk about I have separate videos. It's very, very long, very intense. I
No, I
was
hear you. I got long ones too, but I mean, maybe there's a
yes, yeah, I was chased.
shortened
But
version for right now. I'm sure we could talk about this more another time or dive into both of
definitely.
what those meant to us at some point, you know?
Yeah, what I wanted to say, the train of thought was the ego, our ego that we are so tied to gets shaken up. Like it takes some massive event, like some calamity, something usually catastrophic to shake the ego like, and
Right.
cause the ego death to happen, even for a split second, even for, like these shamanic experiences like ayahuasca, you name it, like all these, it's
Yeah.
all about bringing the ego to the death. And so that the subconscious, your God, your higher self starts talking and communicating and says, hey, 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 it's time, wake up, it's time to
Sure.
go. It's time for you to radiate love. You're here, you are eternal, pure soul. You are the soul. Everything that is here, this skin, this hoodie, it's not even real. It's just very illusionary. Like
I mean, it's
it's
its own. I think of it as its own reality. I don't want to go so
yeah,
far as to call it all an illusion, but it really
yeah.
is. Jonathan Hagelin, who's a theoretical physicist, says it beautifully in that film "What the Bleep," that we live in a thought
Mhm.
universe.
Thought universe.
Right?
Yes,
One of the
thank
things
you.
I say in a spoken word bit that I do is that
Thought. Uh-huh.
this is this mind of the divine. This gives it's the mind, the imagination gives rise to creation itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, you're right. Because
Like we're all a universe unto ourselves. Think of the worlds that have risen and fallen in the confines of your own thoughts and imagination. And one
yes.
thing I've learned having said that is how to treat my thoughts gently. I don't necessarily dismiss thoughts anymore. Now, sometimes even a seemingly innocuous thought, I'll make sure to see it to its sense. I'll make sure it has a peaceful resolve no matter where it goes. So it doesn't have any
Yes.
like sort of internal loose ends, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I totally resonate with that because even when we go to back to ancestral cultures, they see thought and then they see heart, right? So
Sure.
when we operate, let's say soulfully, right? We can say heart out of heart, or like if we use some other languages, operate out of your soul. So that's totally different modus operandi, right? So it's like you can operate this way, and then with ego being more attached to the thought, because we're living on material realm, so that's all thought operated and logic
Yeah.
and this and that.
I think of it like a symphony orchestra, or even like a band for that matter. Just kind of personally, I think of it in terms of how it can all work together. I try not to turn one off to turn the other on, kind of a thing. I've kind of learned to say, okay, this is my symphony orchestra. Here's my
Yes.
choir. And in a manner of speaking, I'm the conductor. I guess I'm the composer, conductor, and producer the whole bit.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's a matter of, okay, how can I get all these pieces and parts working together?
Mm-hmm.
Because I
Mm-hmm.
mean, as long as we're in this body, I find that I still have to work with the ego, but the part of it for me has been getting the ego to buy into all this. The ego
Yes.
part of me is not fighting with it anymore. So it doesn't get
Yes.
in my way anymore. If anything, it gets
Yes.
kind of excited about this now. So that
Mm-hmm.
part is good.
Mm-hmm.
But the same time, the ego doesn't mind playing a much smaller role in everything because the ego now realizes its limitations. That's
Yes.
the beautiful thing too. My ego, that part of me does know, and I'm like, okay, please
Uh-huh.
help. I'm listening. I'm doing my best here. Please, let's do this. And if you give me the chance, we got this. I got this.
Mm-hmm.
All with love. And there's some
Absolutely.
little thing I want to kind of just throw out too a little bit. Um, that thing about love too is that, and again, I'm kind of a person that comes from a bit of a background. Of course, most of my bad stuff is when I was much younger, but there is things that I got into fights, and stuff like that. There's things that I did, at times where as I got older, became very, very ashamed, and I got some very, very dark spots in this life. And if I told you some of this stuff, which I'm not going to, there's no need at this point,
Mm-hmm.
but it became, it's almost a hard stretch sometimes to picture that kind of a person going from that paradigm. Even though I changed a lot by the time the NDE happened, I wasn't that person by the time the NDE happened. I changed a lot, but I couldn't seem to shake the guilt and the shame that came with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the NDE that happened that first of all gave me the ability to be able to not only forgive myself, but to forgive all of those around me as well. Because I mean, I was just as much had stuff happen to me as I did stuff. So it was that the ability to start to let go and be able to forgive, but at the same time also start to see it in a way that I can turn to let it become a strength instead of a weakness inside of me.
Mhm.
And the neat thing is there's been a certain experiences along the way where had I not had some of these horrible experiences where I was embarrassed and ashamed of myself for some of the things that I had done, had I not had some of those experiences, I might not have been able to connect with some of the people that I've connected with in the years since my NDE to discuss something like we're discussing right now with
Mhm.
somebody that, by appearance, you might think there's no way this person's going to get into this. There's no way. And yet, because of circumstance, because of something I could share with them about my past, about stuff I've done, all of a sudden they're going, okay, no, we're on the level. Okay, you do understand. You do get this. Okay, I'm going to listen to you. And then be able to open that dialogue and discover that, oh, wait a second, this person's really been thinking about this their whole life too. They just haven't had an outlet and had somebody to sit there and bounce this off of to say to them, no, I think you're on the right track. I think you're getting this. I think this resonates to me too. Yes. And so those parts of my past, and in a lot of ways, I've been ashamed of. I'm still not proud of any of it, and I still don't really like to talk about it. But at the same time, now it at least has purpose. There's
It
at least a
does.
purpose to it. So for anybody that I might have hurt in my past, I'm sorry more than words could ever say. If I can do something to help with all of that, I will. But my thinking now is maybe what I can do in the world, my work in the world, these ideas, these sharings and these kinds of conversations can help somebody, and these ripple effects can get out there and maybe affect these people's lives too in a beneficial way. So let them
Yes.
know that, hey, listen, somehow in a very seemingly twisted kind of a way, those experiences led me to this point right here. And if I hadn't had those experiences, I might not be able to share with some of the people that I am now able to share with, that maybe not listen to other people trying to talk about this kind of stuff. I mean, I got tattoos, I got long hair, I dress in black, the whole bit. So there's definitely a culture of people out there that because of that alone might listen to me because I look different, maybe look a little bit like them sometimes, And of course, it doesn't maybe help me sometimes, I guess, to somebody who might be in the more mainstream of society. But then, like you say, if that love is emanating and love comes through, and they really pay attention and get my authenticity and my sincerity, then hopefully none of that's going to matter. They can just take me for what's in my heart and what I'm sharing, because that's all that really matters to me. I'm not here to judge anybody for appearances, where they come from, what they look like, what they've done in their life. Because my point to all of this is, this whole rambling, as I do, is you can choose love at any time.
Yes.
Again, you don't need a near-death experience to do it, but you can choose love at any time. I don't mean that by having to choose religion specifically. If that helps you, one of my quotes, I have a business, a merchandising business, and one of my quotes is, if whatever you're doing is helping you walk the path of love, just keep doing it. It's that simple. If you're walking that path and you're taking those steps and you're able to walk in your balance and emanating as we talk about, then just keep doing what you're doing. And so my point is no matter where you've been in this life, no matter what happened even yesterday, you can make that choice. And let me elaborate just a little bit on what I mean by choosing love. This is not just like a foofy fluffy turn the cheek and get your butt kicked kind of a thing in a situation where you get taken advantage of for being too nice or what have you. I'm not saying it like that. We still got to be smart in this world. Still got to pick our spots where we're going to open up and maybe be giving, because we can get taken advantage of, and people like us can be seen from a mile away, as it were, from somebody who's looking for something like that. So we certainly want to be careful, and you just can't just arbitrarily just throw it out there. But my point is in any given situation that you're in, think about what's best for the situation. I mean, sometimes just taking hands off and just taking a couple of steps back and leaving it alone is the best thing for the situation. But then maybe it's some little minor thing that you can do, seemingly innocuous thing that nobody even realizes that you're doing, that also makes a whole difference to a particular situation that you're in. It shifts it from being a tense situation to a more relaxed situation. But then there's, of course, those moments in life, those profound moments in life, where your actions, your words, your intentions are everything in those moments, because they're pivotal, life-changing moments.
Yes.
And I just say, if you're choosing love at every one of those moments, then you're just giving the best outcome, the chance for the best outcome to happen every time.
Yes.
That's what I try to do. No matter what gets to me, whatever ups and downs I'm going through, I'm staying committed to this idea that no matter what, it's love first. Sometimes I take it in the what for it sometimes, but in the long run, I want to believe that it's going to come through. It's going to to where these ripple effects are going to get out there. My life will continue to shift and change and grow, and lives around me will shift and change and grow as well. And that's the idea. I want to, and working to raise myself up. If I can't do it for myself, how can I do it for anybody else? And in the process, let's get together. Let's do it together. Let's raise each other up. I don't
Yes.
want to do this alone. I've been a loner my whole life. One thing that I got from this NDE, or one of the many things, is like, I don't want to be the island anymore. I don't want to be a loner anymore. I want to be around people, work with people, connect with people, do
Mhm.
this with people, succeed with people, thrive with people.
Yeah, absolutely. And the more we project love, the more that image of the past, it vanishes, because quite often people associate ourselves from what they have seen in the past. And and it's okay, people are,
Sure.
people judge because that's what they remember. But the more we resonate love, is that the more we actually slowly erasing that old self and even those memories from people's mind, because they
Because
actually.
forgiveness becomes okay.
Yes. Yeah.
That was one of the things I had to tell myself, and I'll just put it out there: is it's okay to forgive. And let me
Yes.
also take it one step further. It's okay to forgive yourself.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
learn the lesson. Don't do it again. If you're doing it over and over again, it's kind of pointless. But I mean, if you really learn the lesson, you got it, and you're not coming back to this point. Forgive yourself, let it go, move on, believe in
Mm,
yourself.
it's amazing. And so going forward, like going from that darkness that you were in, into this NDE and
It was a
transforming the
beautiful
meaning.
darkness. Don't think of like darkness like an evil
Yes,
kind of thing. It was
no, no,
beautiful,
no.
beautiful.
That's
Oh,
I'm just using the
no, I
words
understand. I just want to be,
and
sometimes
show.
dark and light are not as clear cut as I
Yeah,
say
it's
good
not
versus evil or
necessarily,
something like
but
that.
right now I see this amazing stage of like transformation into a brighter light. Let's put it this
Absolutely.
way.
It's
And even,
resonant. I call it love, resonating with love.
yeah, resonating with love, and just seeing your stickers to see, actually I was drawn to, the reason, like when you sent me these t-shirts and all these positive affirmations.
Yeah,
But
gravity.life, my store. Yeah.
yeah, and that's something we want to share, is that people can share it with others,
Yes.
like, especially, like, I love the idea of stickers, because it's something you don't necessarily need for yourself, but you can give to people.
They're cheap,
And
they're easy, and you can just get a bunch of them and just hand them out.
yes, and you hand them out, and you resonate the message that was behind the creator, which you created,
Yes.
and then it goes and travels further, and you create that positive vortex around you.
Because that stuff, it all has been very, very organic how that all came to be. And why I decided to do this is because between my book and all the years I've been doing these presentations,
Mhm,
accidentally, again, not really meaning to do it, I just
mhm.
keep saying these quotes, and then I just kind of in the middle of the presentation start sticking with certain quotes that people sometimes, when they'll see me a year or two later, they'll see, hey Rex, you're that guy that did that presentation, and they'll ramble off that quote from the presentation. I'm like, you remembered that?
Oh, wow.
Like,
Wow.
then it hit me like, no, this needs to go on t-shirts, it needs to go on, yeah, stickers, it needs to go on coffee mugs, it needs to go on
Mhm,
hoodies and sweatshirts, and
mhm.
dresses, and I mean all kinds of things. And what's cool is that's my Redbubble store. It's what it is. It's on
Yes.
all kinds of wonderful things, and all these things, like you say, they all come from my heart and soul. They're real. Some of them may be a little bit more kind of sort of obvious seeming, but some of them are kind of fun that I kind of feel good about. If I may, I mean, of course, I love kind of the quote, but one of my favorite ones that seems to be doing really well in the store. I got, of course, multiple designs for this particular saying. It's a real fun one. And again, to open your mind. It's uh, faster than a speeding thought, limited only by the bounds of the imagination. It's unlimited possibilities.
Mhm. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And yeah, unlimited possibilities. I was just, as I was drinking this, the bottle water,
Yeah.
I was just thinking, it's so crazy that a lot of things, like for example, we wear clothes that has some name, it's a name of the company. But how many of these mugs don't have any message? And how amazing it will be to bring the message of affirmation to
Yeah.
people. It brings the color. It actually tells something about you. It's not just like, okay, this is just water or a mug, but it actually tells your intention, what you want to bring out to the world. And I believe, like, by your message, if that message resonates with other people who want to put that message out there, it's like it brings so much colors to the world. It brings so much
Wonderful.
positivity. And I mean, we're here to really bring the light into the dark. You know, we live in duality, and we just want to, you know, like I mean, I'm speaking
I would
personally.
say, and I appreciate you, bringing the light to the dark, but I mean, I just want to bring love to everything.
Mm-hmm. Love,
One thing I
yes,
learned as somebody who comes from some dark places in life is that love exists everywhere. Love is
yes,
not just in light places. Love is in
yes.
dark places because love is
Yeah,
everything,
I agree.
everywhere, and the core source of everything.
Yeah.
So that's what I kind of, yes, love in its purest, most beautiful form. Yes, love and light. I get that. Definitely, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not lose sight that love is everywhere. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
dark, light, love is in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
Even the darkest of the dark beings identify with love in some way.
Yeah,
The
that's
reason
such an
beings
interesting
get so
topic.
twisted is because a relationship with love gets so twisted. Some of the most
Mm,
damaged people in the world are damaged because something happened that broke their heart through love. Maybe somebody
mm,
died. Maybe it was a horrible breakup, horrible marriage. I mean, but something happened that devastated them through love, that brought them
mhm,
maybe on this very on a path that they maybe have been on,
mhm,
and it's so hurting, and that may be leading them to beliefs like that could lead to saying that, oh, there's, I don't believe in a god, or things like that,
mhm,
or other variations of that kind of thing. And but even people that can claim to be atheists, everyone has a relationship with love somehow.
yes.
There's
Yeah.
nobody out there, I don't care if they claim to be like
Mhm,
sociopathic. I mean, it may be a different relationship than what most of us understand, but every being, certainly every sentient being, has a relationship with love. And I'll just take that just a step forward, even though it's maybe a little deviation what we're talking about, but at the
mhm,
same time, it is what we're talking about.
mhm,
If we have a common ground upon which we can all stand on to come together to change the world, it is through love, because we do all have a relationship with love, good, bad, or
mhm,
indifferent.
mhm,
And if we do have a chance of changing it,
mhm,
it is definitely through love, because we all
mhm.
have that relationship.
Yeah, so even if someone, let's say, let's bring out an example. So even if someone is a serial killer, right? But you know, let's say he's going around and just kills people, but there's still a way the person might say he may love a puppy, right? So he may have gone and just on berserk, but he
That's what's crazy about it, seriously. I mean, it's really, have you ever seen, and I'm not, defending anybody for anything, but that's part of the dynamism of being human, and part of why I think it's very important to understand rather than just cast, stones, as it were. But
Mhm.
I mean, even like Hitler, have you ever seen the footage of Hitler, like when he was with Ava Braun and some of his friends up in the mountains at a cabin somewhere? We're all just hanging
Yes,
out and acting
yes,
like human beings. Have you ever
yes,
seen that footage? Is out there? I think it's on YouTube. You
yes,
probably find that on YouTube. It's
yes,
almost
yes,
disconcerting to watch that, because he's so human in that.
yes, yes,
He's
yes,
smiling, he's
there's
laughing, he's with
yes.
friends. It's like what any one of us would do with our friends. But it's
Mm,
that we can't lose sight of the fact of who this man is and what he represents in history here. But that's the dynamism of human beings, which is what sometimes, even for all the things that I've seen and been through, this still just kind of like even blows my mind a little bit to think, wow, those dynamics are very, very real. That such a being as that still loves something. Even
yeah, still
even
love stuff.
if you
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
even a serial killer, as you say, there's maybe a dog at home or a cat, or there's maybe a mother, there's somebody somewhere that this person just cherishes and loves.
No, this is the, you know, it's like,
It's
yes,
very
there is a
seldom.
lot
So,
of darkness in their life, but there is love still. You see, it's so interesting,
and
right?
usually, even if it's devoid of it, it's usually because there's something about, I mean, what comes out of them is typically a form of hatred. And
Yes,
if we know one thing about love, is that the opposite of love is not apathy.
yes.
Love is about building, uplifting, bringing
Uh-huh.
things to their highest form of fulfillment,
Mhm.
and oneness and being. So what would the opposite of that be? The destruction
Yeah.
thereof.
Uh-huh.
That comes through, anger and volatility and hatred.
Yes.
All those things are connected.
Uh-huh.
Talk
You
about
know,
that duality thing be rearing its ugly head here. That's what I mean
yes,
about some people have that horrible relationship with love, that serial killer, which
yes.
prompts them to kill, is something is very twisted about the relationship with love, but to the extreme, obviously, that they're doing what they're doing, to a horrible extreme. Obviously, we live in a world of those horrible extremes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you know, that actually leads to what I've been believing, I mean, since childhood, even, the worst person that can be labeled, with the worst atrocities they have done, there is still God in them,
There is.
That's
It's
the
still
thing.
come
There's
from the
still
same
created.
soul.
Yes, it's
It,
all created by the same universe. It's still part of one. I am part of Hitler, I'm part of Mussolini. We're
It's all
all
part of
part
our
of
experience, isn't it?
we're all connected with all these
It is. It's in
stories.
there.
It's all in there. They're just playing their role in this particular way. Maybe it doesn't resonate with me fully what they do,
Of
you
course
know.
not. Obviously, right.
Yes.
So not the case of Mussolini or Hitler, obviously, but I get what
Yes.
you're saying, though. It's more dynamic than that. As human
Yes.
beings, it's much more dynamic than that,
Mm-hmm.
more complex than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, love is everywhere.
It is.
And
And again, if we have a hope of ever shifting this whole world, it's going to be through love. And it's going to be, no small order, because of course we're talking about people that obviously are, if they have that kind of a relationship with love, how do you even heal something like that? Where do you
yes.
begin? I mean, what does it even look like? And never mind for the people that have incurred the damage, that were the end result of their horrible actions. How do you heal that part of it? Where family members were killed in these horrible ways and whatnot. I mean, just those ripple effects go out just so far. I mean, how do you heal something like that? And what's frightening is that there's so many of those examples out there, not just say today or yesterday, but throughout the years of human history.
Yes, generational. I mean, we're living
But even just today, we could just take today, and how many of those examples happen just today?
Yeah.
That's a frightening thought.
Mm-hmm.
How do we shift it, man? I mean, it's in there. I know the answer is in there. There's a way through this. What are the steps?
Well,
I don't have the answers. That's why I throw it out there. Let's put it out there collectively. Let's put our collective consciousness to work here. What are the answers? They're out there. I know they're out there.
Yes,
We can find them.
Yeah, it starts with really just spreading the same message, being a messenger of love, and
Absolutely.
and grow it around you. It's like the spores, the mushroom spores, they just like, and they colonize. And
Right.
so that's what we're doing, we're slowly colonizing without any ego, really, because there is no, love. It's just different. So we're just doing it unconditionally, and let it grow, let it just spread.
Right. Have that faith, right? Believe that the power of love is at work. And I do. It sounds kind of funny. You remember the old Celine Dion / Air Supply song called "The Power of Love"?
Yes,
I know you've heard it. It's like a super poppy song. Air Supply did the song first. They're actually they're like an '80s band out of Australia. All they did was make love songs way back in the day, like early '70s rather. No, they're like they were '70s. But anyways, in the '80s, Celine Dion remade the song and made it like crazy popular. But it's fun for me. It's the power of love. The name of the song to me just sums it right up. What the song's all about. And that's what I just think about, the power of love. Come on, power of love. Let's come shining through, right? Power of love.
Yes. And I
know it's cheesy as heck, but I don't care, man. I believe that.
Yes, no, it is. No, and that's the thing. I seriously, it's so true. The words power and love, that's all you need in the whole song. It doesn't really matter the rest of it. Like power of love, and there's a couple other songs that sings about power of love. I don't know the rest of the
tons
song.
Of love songs. There's lots of really beautiful,
but there is it's the most common
sure.
theme, really. It's the most common. I mean, you look into Hispanic.
You got Elton John's "Can You Feel the Love Tonight." That's another one that just gets me going. "Can You Feel the Love Tonight" by Elton John, that was in the Lion King movie.
Yes.
That brings me to tears.
Yeah, Lion
every
King,
time I hear that song, seriously.
Lion King.
There's lots of beautiful love songs.
Yeah, Lion King hits me very deep because it's basically filmed. The language they use is Swahili, which is where my father is from.
It's so beautiful. Yeah.
Simba means a lion, and then Rafiki is brother, and all that stuff. So Mufasa means the type of monkey. So all of it actually links back to the ancient, language, the Swahili. So
how neat that they kept it authentic to that.
They kept it very, very authentic. And then when I share with people, they're like, "Oh wow, really?" Yeah, and I'm like,
the first Lion King, I loved it.
the first.
That's one of my all-time favorite movies. This period.
I'm talking about the first one. That's the one.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. I mean, I laugh, I cry, the whole bit. I mean, if you're gonna sit down, if anyone out there is listening and you end up watching the Lion King with me, the first Lion King, just be prepared. I'm gonna laugh, I'm gonna cry, it's gonna happen. Just give me a box of tissues, I'll be good.
Yeah.
I don't care. That's one thing about this near-death experiencing too. My sensitivities are just like off the chart. I've always been like a passionate and feeling person, but my emotions, my feelings, just my sensitivities especially are just so acute now, and they're just so much bigger than they've ever been before. So it's amazing how sometimes the most subtle of things can just move so much emotion. All of a sudden I'm good, and a little tear comes out of my eye. I go, oh, that just really touched me. That's a beautiful moment. Maybe I
Mm.
watch a couple in a restaurant share a moment, or something in a movie, something really cool happens, and I'm just, oh, that's so beautiful. Oh, one of my favorite things to do. Oh my gosh, this is so crazy. One of my all-time favorite things to do, especially if I need a little bit of pick-me-up, I love to watch. I don't know if you've seen them on your newsfeed or something when they come up, like an American Idol audition, or like an America's Got Talent audition, or like the Voice audition
Mhm.
that blows the judges away. The shy
Ah,
person walks up on stage, the most unassuming looking person walks up on
yeah.
stage and blows everybody away, and their dreams come
Mhm.
true. And it's just really amazing, especially when it's a really humble, sweet, kind person that has never had their art appreciated before, had their talent like even demonstrated or shown before. So I like to watch those sometimes because they make me cry every single time,
Yes.
because I
Yeah.
just love to watch the reaction of the crowd. It's maybe sometimes even laughing at the person when they walk up on stage, like, oh my gosh, what's this going to be? This is
Yeah.
going to be so terrible. And then, the judges talk to them a little bit, and then they think, oh my gosh, this is going to be really terrible. Then they go to sing, and it's like, you can just everything just gets quiet. And all of a sudden everybody's cheering and getting to their feet. And by the end of the whole thing, it's just this rousing applause, and everybody's screaming. And this person is up on stage, never having experienced this before, crying their eyes out because they're like, wow, they love me. I can't believe this. I can't believe I can really do this. I can't believe this connection just happened. I mean, I can only imagine some of the thoughts would go through the person when they first discover, wow, there's something here. I have something. What a discovery. What a moment of discovery for that person, and what a
Mhm.
magical moment to get to share that with the whole world. So yeah, I love those kinds of videos, man. I mean, I don't care if it's a little kid or like an 80-year-old person or somewhere in between.
Yeah.
I just love those videos. I just love when that happens. And every single time I get all happy inside. I have a good cry, and get back to my day, whatever I'm doing.
Good. Good. That's you
It's
know.
healthy. As a person who's had a very bad temper in my life, I used to take out all my hard emotions through my anger. And
Mhm.
even when I was sad, it came out in anger. If I was depressed, it came out in anger.
Mm.
And it's interesting. I guess I have a lot of anger sometimes or something, but anyway, my point is, I'm kind of joking, but my point is I've learned to let these emotions out through the crying.
Mhm.
And yes, there's a point with which crying can become very unhealthy too. If you just all you do is cry, that's definitely not healthy. But I've learned to be able to purge through crying and through tears. I find it much more healthy, and I feel much lighter when it's all over with. Then I can, process through something nice and clearly. If it needs letting go, then I can let it go, or just whatever needs to happen. I'm very clear about my next steps, whatever that is. It's brings clarity. It just lightens everything up.
I so agree on tears, and a lot of conscious people will, resonate. People who are empaths, let's put it this way. When you're an empath, you allow your soul to release, like the cry when we go back in the day. It's something that is within, and you let go, basically subconscious goes and just like and releases. And it's like, seriously, for me, the crying experience, it doesn't happen often, but when it happens, I feel like it's a purge. I feel like the temperature change in my body.
Sure.
I really start observing myself.
Breathing
Actually, I'm
easier. Everything's
yeah,
like your
breathing
shoulder, it's like the weight
easier,
of your shoulders is off. Everything's lighter.
surrendering. It's like the moment of surrender. And I really love, one time I did cry. I don't know when, but someone hugged me from behind. Someone approached me and hugged me like this. And
Oh,
this was the most ultimate surrender to the moment. It's like you feel like you melted into this universe, timeless,
yeah.
timeless, timeless, timeless.
That's that soul deep experience, that authentic love. I mean, apparently when that person would have done that, probably something very real in their heart was going on, and the connection that was going on was very real in your heart, and it was something like I say, that soul deep, pure experience.
Yes. Wow, that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. Wow, I'm so happy we get to share this message, and I'll be also happy to, share what you do, share the love that you put out
Appreciate
there,
that. Please do.
uh,
I
through
appreciate that a lot.
business, and we just want to spread more positivity and love unconditional love in my
I'm with
case.
you, brother. I'm with you, my friend. Absolutely, man. And what a great joy to get to share this with you. I mean, I've always felt that every time we've been, speaking in, in Sean's Ions group, it's like I've always felt a connection with you, and I kind of had a feeling this was something like this might happen sooner or later. So when you mentioned it earlier about possibly doing it tonight, I'm like, you know what? I do have tonight, so I'm going to do everything I can to let that door kick open as wide as possible, and we are letting this stuff happen. And I'm so glad, man. Seriously.
Yeah, I felt it in the moment. I felt the calling. I usually go with inner calling, that there is no logic to it.
Right, I feel you.
Yes. Yes.
And I've learned to trust those, because I'll tell you what, man, in those moments when I didn't listen to it every single time, I always wish that I had. So I've just learned to listen, even if my logical brain's not making sense of it. If I'm feeling it, I just do it, because I know that
Yes.
on the other end of it, I'm gonna be glad that I did.
Yeah, I share. That's the way. That's the way.
Yeah.
That's the way to do. That's the way to go, and that's the path of. I call it path of enlightenment. Beautiful, beautiful. All right. I'm sending you lots of love, and I just want to finish with a quick meditation to send as much love as we can to all the universe, to all the living beings, to go to bed and wake up with a natural feeling of love, and just fulfill our hearts with this energy and be that source of love every single day, every moment, even when we are down, when we feel distraught, distracted. Just let us regain that access and find love and peace within us, and let people heal with our love, because we are just the messengers of this love. We just channel it to the universe and let it spread as much as we can. Ashe.
Beautiful, brother. Thank you. You're here.
Good.
Lots of love to you. Seriously. And anytime you want to do this again, of course, I'm always down to hang out with you, online, wherever, if you're ever in town. But yeah, if you want to just let me know anytime.
Yes. We'll do that.
That's what we're here for.
We'll do that. Big hug to you.
Hey, big hug, man. Virtual hug.
We'll talk soon, brother. Night, night.
Peace.